As we enter the first week of August, the hydrangea by the back porch still retains remnants of color from June, showing signs of wear from the summer heat. Amidst the busyness that comes with the end of spring planting and the delay of fall cleanup, this plant often goes unnoticed on the way to the mailbox. However, what many fail to realize is that inside those seemingly ordinary green stems, next year's flower buds are currently in the process of forming, a crucial stage that will determine the plant's blossoms next spring. Don't overlook the significance of this month. It is not a period of inactivity, but rather a critical decision point in the life cycle of your garden. In this video, we'll cover a detailed list of 8 tasks that needs to be done now. So please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel because we post weekly about helpful gardening tips and tricks. It's essential to carefully attend to your plants during this time if you want to ensure a beautiful garden in the upcoming seasons. Hydrangeas of the old wood variety, including big leaf and oak leaf types, begin developing next year's flower buds inside the leaf axils of this year's stems between July and September. This process is currently underway, though not visible on the outside of the plant. It is important to provide water, fertilizer, proper pruning, and disease prevention this month in order to support the healthy development of these buds. Hydrangeas that are well cared for in August typically bloom abundantly the following spring. On the other hand, those that are not tended to properly may not bloom as well, with any potential issues only becoming apparent once blooming season arrives. Task 1. Deadhead the rebloomers, not the once bloomers. If you have hydrangeas that are reblooming varieties such as Endless Summer or Let's Dance, which produce flowers multiple times in a season, it is time to deadhead them. Simply cut the spent flower stem down to the first full set of healthy leaves below the faded bloom and leave the rest of the stem intact. These reblooming hydrangeas set flower buds on both old wood from the previous year and new wood from the current growing season. By removing the spent bloom, you redirect the plant's energy into forming new buds on the lower part of the stem for another round of flowers before the season ends. On the other hand, once blooming big leaf hydrangeas only bloom once each summer and set buds for the following year on the current year's old wood. Therefore, heavy deadheading in August may inadvertently remove buds that are already forming on the plant. It is important to identify whether you have a reblooming or once blooming variety before proceeding with deadheading. Look for a second flush of color in July as an indicator of a reblooming hydrangea. If you are unsure of the type of hydrangea you have, refer to the plant tag or observe its blooming pattern for clues. In the case of once blooming varieties, it is safer to avoid deadheading altogether to ensure the growth of next year's flowers. Task 2. Stop feeding nitrogen for the season. Your last nitrogen feeding should already be behind you by now. If not, it is essential to cease nitrogen fertilization this month. Feeding hydrangeas nitrogen at this stage of the season can lead to excessive soft growth when the plant should be preparing to enter dormancy for winter. This tender new growth is susceptible to damage from the upcoming frost, as it does not have adequate time to harden before winter sets in. Consequently, this can result in the loss of flower buds that were developing on the fragile new growth. It is crucial to avoid late nitrogen feedings to prevent the unnecessary loss of buds on your hydrangeas. To improve the condition of your soil, consider top dressing with a thin layer of compost around the drip line instead of using granular feed. Compost gradually releases nutrients throughout the root zone, avoiding the rapid growth of new shoots that can be triggered by fast-release fertilizers. Neglecting to feed a plant is not the same as skipping a watering. While a hydrangea can tolerate a mist feeding better than frost-damaged new growth in October, the consequences of mist feedings include reduced size and vigor, while frost damage can impact the very stems that will carry next year's flowers. At this stage, the plant is undergoing a process of bud set within the stems, which requires it to divert its energy from outward growth to solidifying the progress it has already made. Therefore, instead of providing additional nitrogen, the priority should be on allowing the plant to consolidate its resources. Task 3. Keep the water deep and consistent through peak heat. For optimal hydration, it is recommended to run a soaker hose at the plant's base for 30 to 45 minutes, twice a week. This method ensures deep penetration into the soil where the roots absorb moisture, in comparison to a daily quick watering of the leaves, which evaporates quickly. By focusing on watering the soil rather than the leaves, you are encouraging the roots to grow deeper and become more resilient to drought conditions. It is important to note that a hydrangea showing signs of drought stress may not easily recover, as it may appear on the surface. Extended periods of dry soil can prompt a plant to prematurely drop a portion of the flower buds it is developing internally, even before any external signs are visible. This is evident by the leaves wilting around 3 in the afternoon, but rebounding after a thorough watering overnight, giving the appearance of normalcy by morning. However, the buds shed during this stressful period do not have the same capacity for recovery. While a single week of dry conditions may not significantly impact the bloom count for the following spring, a consistent cycle of dry soil, wilting leaves, recovery, and then more dry conditions during the hottest times of the month can lead to a noticeably reduced bloom the next year. By the time the gap in blooms is noticeable, the decision was actually made back in August, not during the spring months. This is because a healthy hydrangea can withstand isolated periods of heat but struggles with ongoing stress. Task 4. Rig temporary shade for afternoon sun exposure. To protect your hydrangea from the damaging effects of direct sun exposure during the afternoon hours, it is recommended to provide shade from around 1 to 5 p.m. You can achieve this by using a shade cloth rated at 30 to 50% block, or by adjusting a patio umbrella to cover the plant rather than the seating area. Hydrangea leaves are specifically designed to efficiently capture light in shaded woodland environments. They are not equipped to withstand prolonged exposure to direct sunlight, particularly in hot August weather. When the leaves are scorched and curled from sun damage, their ability to photosynthesize, the process of converting sunlight into energy for the plant, is inhibited. This reduction in energy production can be detrimental to the plant's ability to sustain itself and support the growth of flower buds within its stems. Losing leaf area in August is more challenging for plants than losing it in June, because by this time, there is little growing season left for replacement foliage to grow. Plants in August face the task of surviving the heat while still producing energy for next year's buds, using whatever leaves remain intact after the afternoon sun. A hydrangea that receives morning sun and afternoon shade naturally retains more functioning leaf area through August, compared to one exposed to sun all day. If you are unable to move the plant to a shadier spot, consider creating shade for the plant instead. Even a simple folding panel propped up for a few hours a day can make a difference in helping the plant conserve its leaf area. Task 5. Check and top off the mulch layer. To properly maintain your hydrangea, start by gently pulling back the mulch around the base of the plant. Check the depth of the mulch and ensure it is consistently 2 to 3 inches of shredded bark or wood chips. It's important to keep the mulch a few inches away from the stem to prevent moisture from collecting against the plant, which could lead to rot. Hydrangea roots are shallow and spread out wide instead of deep into the soil. This characteristic allows the plant to access moisture near the surface, but also makes it vulnerable to fluctuations in soil conditions during hot weather. By following these recommendations, you can help your hydrangea thrive and maintain its health during the hottest part of the year. A thin or uneven mulch layer can lead to drastic fluctuations in soil temperature, causing roots to expend energy managing thermal stress instead of supporting growth. On the other hand, a consistent mulch layer helps maintain a steady root zone temperature and reduces the rate at which the soil dries out between watering. Checking and topping up the mulch layer is typically a quick task, and most beds only require a simple top-up rather than a complete overhaul. It is essential to regularly check the mulch layer as it may become compacted or depleted due to various factors such as settling, foot traffic, and heavy rainfall. By August, the mulch layer may be less than an inch thick, which could compromise its effectiveness in providing protection and benefits to your plants. Monitoring and measuring the depth of the mulch layer throughout the season is crucial to maintaining its quality and ensuring optimal plant health. Task 6. Scout for leaf spot and powdery mildew. When inspecting hydrangea plants for fungal issues, it is important to start by examining the older leaves near the base. Fungal problems on hydrangea tend to initially appear low on the plant and then spread upwards through the canopy. Look for small circular spots with tan or gray centers and a purple border as this could indicate Cercospora leaf spot. This fungus typically overwinters on fallen leaves and is carried back up onto healthy foliage by splashing water. Additionally, be on the lookout for a pale gray, flour-like coating across the leaf surface, which may be powdery mildew. This different type of fungus thrives in still, humid air, which is often found in plants with crowded stems and poor airflow. Regularly inspecting your hydrangea plants for these signs can help prevent fungal issues from spreading and ensure the overall health of your plants. To effectively address fungal infections on plants, it is important to promptly remove and discard any infected leaves, rather than leaving them on the ground or adding them to compost piles. Fallen leaves provide the perfect environment for fungi to survive the winter and infect plants again the following year. If the fungal infection is more widespread than just a few leaves, using a fungicide specifically labeled for ornamental shrubs can help slow its progression. For less severe cases, simply removing infected foliage and switching to base-level watering instead of overhead spraying can often effectively manage the issue. Maintaining a consistent watering routine, such as using a soaker hose, is not only beneficial for deep watering, but also helps prevent the spread of spores on wet leaf surfaces. Failure to address heavy leaf spot or mildew can result in significant defoliation by late summer, impacting the plant's ability to photosynthesize and store energy for the following year. By taking proactive steps to address fungal infections, you can help ensure the health and vitality of your plants throughout the growing season. Task 7. Do not prune old wood varieties this month. During the current month, it is best to refrain from pruning your big leaf or oak leaf hydrangea unless you are removing dead, brittle, or storm-damaged branches. Avoid shaping, cutting back for size, or tidying up overgrown or misplaced stems. This is the critical period when next year's flower buds are developing in the leaf axils, the small junctions where a leaf connects to a stem, along the new growth of the current year. Every cut made at this time may remove wood that is already harboring a bud that is not yet visible. It is important to note that different rules apply to spring-blooming shrubs and new wood hydrangeas like panicle or smooth varieties. These shrubs can be pruned heavily in late winter without impacting their flower production, as they produce buds fresh each spring rather than storing them during the winter. A stem on your big leaf hydrangea that appears to be leftover growth from the previous bloom season is actually representing next spring's flowers in the making. Just like the importance of holding off on fertilizer during this month, it is equally important to resist the urge to prune or shape the plant before it has completed its natural blooming cycle. It is best to wait to do any real pruning until right after next year's blooms have faded. This will help protect the progress the plant has already made and ensure a healthy and beautiful display of flowers in the future. Task 8. Check potted hydrangeas for root-bound stress. Inspect the root ball of the plant by partially removing it from its container. If you notice roots tightly circling around the edges or forming a dense mat that obscures the potting mix, the plant is likely root-bound. To address this issue, it is recommended to transplant the plant into a pot that is 2 to 4 inches wider before the upcoming season. The ideal time to do this is early fall, after the peak heat of summer has subsided. It is important to be aware that container soil can heat up and dry out quickly, especially during hot afternoons. Due to the limited soil volume in pots, plants may struggle to keep up with the increased demand for water and nutrients when root-bound. This can lead to various stresses on the plant, such as decreased tolerance to drought and heat, as well as a reduction in the plant's ability to support essential processes like bud development. Even if a potted hydrangea appears healthy on the surface during August, it may be suffering from being root-bound beneath the surface. It is crucial to periodically check the roots of potted plants to ensure their health and vitality. In August, it is important to deadhead the reblooming hydrangeas while leaving the once-blooming varieties untouched. It is also recommended to cease nitrogen application for the season. Ensure deep and consistent watering during hot weather and provide shade for any plants exposed to intense afternoon sun. Regularly check the mulch for maintenance, scout for leaf spot and mildew, and avoid pruning old wood. Before fall, it is advisable to inspect potted hydrangeas for signs of root-bound stress. Although none of these tasks may seem urgent, August is a crucial month for hydrangeas, as it determines next year's bloom count. Feel free to share in the comments which tips were new to you or mention the type of hydrangeas you are cultivating. If you found this information helpful, please consider giving a like and subscribing to support the channel's continued production of similar content. As always, thank you for watching.